Did you know that the last thing my grandpa said to me before he kicked the bucket?
Who left it there?
Very close. He said, "Grandson, watch how far I can kick this bucket." That's my kind of humor. I like that one a lot.
No.
Now,
So yeah. So anyway, sorry, coming back to it. So yes, it depends. The application process stuff. What I would do with them once they've joined and they're applying, I outline the process to them, and it's very, very well spelled out on the Pegasus
mhm,
site. And your membership and your application is all electronic. Now, some people might struggle with that, so I can help with that side of it. And you have to do things. So your medical evidence goes, then you have to do a small biography about your life. After that, they have to do why you want an assisted death. And I says, so it's a good
mhm,
comparison. You know, what you're doing is initially you're outlining all these things that you've done that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, the kind of things that you
mhm,
plan to do in older age, etc. And then that
mhm.
sets the scene, so to speak, for this other 200 and odd words, why I want an assisted death.
Hmm.
So, and most people end up writing War and Peace.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
so I help with that. That's something that I go through. So there's like there's this kind of things, and then
Yeah.
struggle about, and sometimes then that's when the psychological support comes in, and I don't always do that because people talk on the Facebook page. There's a lot more goes on the Facebook page than what's posted, and there's no reason why I need to know or should know what's going on. But
Right.
like I always said, the counselling is a good ear, an active ear, and
Right.
not telling
Right.
them what to do. And so if you're listening to, if people are listening to one another, then fine. And then if something gets beyond that, and then if somebody wants an assisted death, then just contact me because I put that up periodically if anyone's considering it. I think I did it on the lad's Bible. One of the things,
Mm.
look, if anybody wants one, just contact me. If they want any more information about it, contact me. So yeah, you can go through that, and then people start struggling with who do I tell, who don't I tell, and that becomes part of that emotional support. I think.
Right.
Um, I I always advise people to go public with it, because if you're concerned about who you're leaving behind and who's going with you, the best thing you
Mhm,
can do is go public. So what I do say to them is,
mhm.
look, if you're thinking about this and you want to go public with it, then I know a reporter that's really sympathetic, that supported us all the way, and you can look at different ways of doing that via the press or do it by television. And the local, the national newspapers. I've got contacts with them all. The national TV programs.
On the Right to Die with Dignity UK Facebook
Yeah.
page, what I sometimes see, it's not too often, but it's heartbreaking. It's, somebody will say, I'm in so much pain, I don't know what to do, and like I said, your heart just breaks just reading it. Is that the type of person that will contact you, or are they like too far to the do it themselves that
So I mean, I think some people. Some of the most heartbreaking ones for me on the Facebook page are the ones where they're too poorly to travel.
mm,
And it's a shame. It's a real shame that. And I mean, ideally, as a campaigner rather than as somebody that has bags of empathy, they're the ones that you really should be saying, "Can we get this in the press?"
yeah.
And sometimes I might, in very, very like loose terms, kind of, would you like to share this story? You want to show this dignity on? And sometimes people come on and say, well, what can we do? And I say things like, well,
Right.
if you've got a personal story, share it. So it's more coaching than putting people on the spot. So yeah, I get people of all kinds. Like I said, I get people who, well, my mum and my dad died. My mum and both my dad had Alzheimer's, or they both had dementia, or they both had cancer. And like there's 101 different ailments that are genetic. And
Hmm.
they might be in the 40s and nowhere near it, but they're saying things like statistically, there's a high chance that I could have this, and would I get an assisted death for that? I said the same thing to them. Well, yeah, I'm sure you would, um, but I wouldn't necessarily be applying for an assisted death just now.
Hmm.
You don't need to apply for it just now, and certainly they're not, especially if it's not things around neurological where people might lose capacity, etc. I just to just start making your intentions known. You know that if anything happens to you and you have these conditions, write your advance statement out, your advance directive out under certain circumstances. I don't want a DNR. So these are steps that you take well before. Yeah, and
Right.
seriously, make a will and make your intentions clear. You know, and that, in its
Hmm.
sense, if you start making your intentions clear at 40, where you're not even catching a bad cold, you know, and
Hmm.
then if somebody does end up going with you 20, 30 years down the road, then, you know, you've got that long history of having plotted and planned. And it acts as a very strong
Right.
safeguard for those who could face prosecution. But hopefully, when it comes round, it'll be legal in the UK anyway. But
If
it's various, and there's no pattern. You know, there's no kind of everybody
right.
that follows up is this. But yeah, so it can be people that are thinking genetically I could face this, and just that peace of mind. You know, that's what getting the green light is. It's a peace of mind via an insurance policy, and just like your house
Hmm.
insurance and your car insurance, you take it out every single year, but you don't want to use it.
Right. Exactly. When people contact you from places that already have made, um, what's that conversation like?
Well, I generally start when you know, because I check people out. You know, when I
Mhm.
first contacted, nothing too serious, but you know, like someone sends you a message, you can normally get onto the Facebook page and have a general look at
Mhm.
what it is, and that sort of say things like, well, um, it's I know that you're looking for assisted death, and I know that you live in Oregon, or I know that you live in Canada, because I'm working with somebody in Canada at the moment, but I don't think they'll need it. To be honest with you, I think they'll be okay. And I
Mhm.
sort of said, well, you've got an assisted death. And well, my condition doesn't would qualify for in Oregon. It wouldn't qualify in Canada. You know, Portugal and places like that. Even if the law changes in Portugal, it'd be too late for me, etc. So
Right.
then I try and establish what it is. You know, what is the reason for you wanting assisted death, and once I've got that, I'm more if they can inform me ever so slightly, then I can give them the best kind of guidance and support. But
Mhm.
generally, say,
Are
well,
there
you know, it's legal in Oregon. I think I've got two people that have kind of faded out. There's a guy that was having total chronic pain and he'd had some injury that he'd got. He worked on boats and he'd done something tying it up, and it was one of these illnesses that you know you can't particularly see, but you know he's got reports
Mhm.
on it, and he's just lying in bed, and his mum comes round and supports him. And he was, you know,
Mhm.
he travelled as a seaman, and he travelled as a young person, and he was stuck at home. But he would never
Mhm.
qualify in Oregon, you know. But then you know, I went a long way with him. I got his, I worked on his both his statements with him, his application with him. He joined Life Circle because it was just before Life Circle stopped taking new members. And
Mhm.
then he said, you know, I've got to think about that. And I said, good, you know, and if you if you're fine and you're going on, good luck. And if not, and you ever want to come back, you know exactly where I am. But it was like hours and hours of
Right.
work involved in that, and that's you know that's fine. I've never heard from him. That's quite a while back.
How long is it usually before they begin making reservations, really solidifying their trip?
I think once they so you've got two things. You've got membership,
Mhm.
and you're going for the green light. So I've had the green light since 2015, and I've never ever set a date. And I think there's
Mhm.
two different things. So you can make the application and get the green light. Because when I
Mhm.
sent mine up, when I spoke to Erica, who I already knew anyway, well, I said to Erica that look, Erica, I'm not looking at coming now, and hopefully it'll be a long time, but I just need that kind
Mhm.
of peace of mind that it's there for me. And some people will do that, and it depends on your condition again. And I think it's a good thing
Mhm.
because I started living again once I'd got the green light, so to speak. So
Mhm.
so that's a good thing. So people will do that and go nowhere. But then again, this woman from America gets back to me, she could be there within a couple of months. So what you can do is
Mm,
you don't even have to join. I mean, you can join and put your application in straight away. It's just the law that you've got to be a member, and the way that Life Circle and Pegasus have done that. Once you pay your membership fee, you're a member. And like I said, that's a Swiss law
mhm,
condition rather than we want members. But and of course, because they do a lot of charitable work, and like for 50 Swiss francs a year, it's if they can get that off everybody, then it's going to help them do the more charitable aspects of the work that they do.
mhm,
But then again, some of the people, it might be straight away. So if they get the green light, so if they do if it's just a green light for an insurance policy, it could be ages before they
mhm,
get anything done. If I need to get there and I'm going to set a date, then
mhm,
I think in many senses, once they've got the date, they have to pay a deposit. And I think at that stage, I generally say to people, well, you need to start looking round now and thinking about when do you want to be there, what airline do you want to use, and again, a lot depends on what part of the world, who you're going to tell, because there's
mhm.
lots of stuff you've got to do. I mean, if you've got a partner and the partner's fine with that, and the partner's going with you, then that's it. But if you're by yourself, your house needs emptying. Your
Mhm.
bank accounts needs closing down. Have you got somebody that will do that for you? Do you need to contact a solicitor and leave them some money? So there's lots of other stuff that's on that people particularly don't think about at the
Right,
time. It's
right. You might have pets, you might have all
absolutely,
sorts of.
yeah.
Are you also involved when people, let's say, go to Pegasus or Life Circle the final day and, like, are you in the room
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah.
So I think the one that I can speak about openly really is Dawn's because it's documented and there's videos and
Mhm.
pictures, etc. And like I say, there's at least one, if not two people haven't got anybody to go with, and they do need somebody there. Um,
Yeah.
and it's strange because there's two things that you can do. You can pay something like £1,500 English money, and
Mhm.
that's to get somebody that will meet you there, and they'll identify you after your death. Need somebody to go, we can always find somebody for far less than that. I have somebody in
Right.
Switzerland that doesn't live too far from Basel that's more than happy to meet up with people, and just go within that day and identify the body.
What's it like if there are family or friends of the person there? What's been their reactions or your communications with them? Is
I've never been across one of his family or friends because if there's family or friends, there's no need for me to be there. But equally
okay.
so, I've been there when there's been TV crews there and and reporters, but no family and friends. Yes,
Hmm.
and I think it's better if your family and friends can go with you. Then I think that's the
Right.
nearest you're going to get to it being back at home.
Right.
And sharing that
Right.
moment. And again, when people have asked me, "Do you want to come across?" and I said, "Well, who's going with you?" And he said, "Family, friends." And I said, "Look, no thanks. Thank you very much for asking." And I said, "And I feel honoured that you've done that." Um,
Right.
but if there's any specific reason you'd want me there, other than the fact that we've gone through this process, then I would just spend that time with your family and friends.
What happens when you listen to a death song 1,000 times?
What happens when you listen to a death song? I don't know. Well, normally music grows on you, but this could die on you. I don't know. I don't know. You become a deaf leopard fan.
Wow, that's really good. Now that's not the answer, but I like that answer, and actually Def Leppard is one of my favorite groups of all times. But in
Yeah.
this case, when you listen to a death song 1,000 times, it becomes a Megadeth song.